Chris.
Knox, what are you doing here?
I came to apologize for the other night. I brought you these and a poem I wrote for you.
Knox, don't you know that if Chet finds you here, he'll kill you?
I don't care. I love you, Chris.
Knox, you're crazy.
Look, I acted like a jerk, and I know it. Please accept these, please.
No, I can't. Just forget it.
Yes?
Knox, I don't believe this.
All I'm asking you to do is listen. The heavens made a girl named Chris with hair and skin of gold. To touch her would be paradise.
Have you ever done something that scared the life out of you? Maybe you had to give a speech in front of a crowd or tell someone how you really felt about them. In the previous scene, Knox felt exactly that way, terrified, but he pushed through and did it anyway. That's what it means to seize the day. Carpe Diem. That's what today's lesson is all about. To help us fully understand this phrase, we'll be watching a classic scene from Dead Poets Society, one of the most inspiring films of all time. Let's jump in.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Who knows where that comes from? Anybody? Not a clue. It's from a poem by Walt Whitman about Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Now, in this class, you can either call me Mr. Keating, or if you're slightly more daring, oh, Captain, my Captain. Now, let me dispel a few rumors so they don't fester into facts. Yes, I, too, attended Helton. I survived. And no, at that time, I was not the mental giant you see before you. I was the intellectual equivalent of a 98-pound weakling. I would go to the beach, and people would kick copies of Byron in my face. Now, Mr. Pitts. It's a rather unfortunate name. Mr. Pitts. Where are you? Mr. Pitts, will you open your hymnal to page 542? Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
To the virgins to make much of time?
Yes, that's the one. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Old time is still a-flying. And this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Now, who knows what that means?
Carpe Diem. That's seize the day.
Very good, Mr.
Meeks.
Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines?
Because he's in a hurry.
No. Ding! Thanks for playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you've really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. Hear it? Hear it? Carpe Diem. Seize the day, boys. Make your lives extraordinary.
Mr. Keating challenges his students to truly seize the day. He urges them to make their lives extraordinary, reminding them that time is fleeting and that one day they too will be nothing but a memory. By the way, fleeting just means it doesn't last for a long time. Through poetry and passion, he inspires them to embrace opportunities, break free from fear, and live with purpose, the very essence of Carpe Diem. Let's break down the phrase and all the other key vocab and expressions so we can fully appreciate this awesome scene.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Who knows where that comes from? It's from a poem by Walt Whitman about Mr. Abraham Lincoln.
Whitman was a famous American poet known for his writing about freedom, nature, and life. Oh Captain, My Captain is his most famous poem, and it was written in honor of President Abraham Lincoln. In Dead Poets Society, Mr. Keating encourages the students to use it as a playful yet respectful way to address him. In modern usage, this phrase is often used as a tribute to teachers or mentors who have inspired you. Let's watch this powerful scene where the boys, risking expulsion, stand up for Mr. Keating and tell him, "Oh Captain, my Captain."
Simple matter. If the poem score for perfection is plotted on the horizontal of a graph...
Mr. Keating, they made everybody
Quiet, Mr.
sign
Anderson.
it. You gotta believe me, it's true.
I do believe you, Tom.
Leave, Mr. Keating.
But it wasn't his fault.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. One more outburst from you or anyone else, and you're out of this school. Leave, Mr. Keating. I said leave, Mr. Keating.
Captain, my captain.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. You hear me? Sit down. Sit down. This is your final warning, Anderson. How dare you? Do you hear me?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Mr. Overstreet, I warn you. Sit down. Sit down! Sit down! All of you, I want you seated. Sit down! Leave, Mr. Keating.
Keating dared his students to call him "Oh Captain, my Captain," and in this clip we just watched, a few of them dared to do just that. Have you ever had a teacher who truly inspired you? Someone who made you want to be a better, more passionate and impactful person? Share your story in the comments below.
Now, in this class, you can either call me Mr. Keating, or if you're slightly more daring, oh, Captain, my Captain.
Daring means bold, brave, or willing to take risks. Examples of daring in everyday English: that was a daring move, quitting your job to start a new business. She wore a daring outfit to the party.
Now, let me dispel a few rumors so they don't fester into facts.
Dispel means to put an end to a false idea or misunderstanding. Mr. Keating uses it to clear up some things before rumors can spread. In formal settings, you'll hear dispel rumors a lot, but in casual English you might say, "Let me clear up some confusion," or "Time to set the record straight." The director dispelled the rumor that the movie was cancelled. She quickly dispelled any doubts about her promotion.
Now let me dispel a few rumors so they don't fester into facts. Yes, I too attended Helton.
Fester means to grow worse over time, often used for wounds or problems. When something festers into facts, it means a false idea is left alone until people start thinking it's true. If we don't clear up the mistake, it will fester into facts. Rumors about the new policy festered into facts because no one denied them.
Yes, I too attended Helton. I survived. And no, at that time I was not the mental giant you see before you.
Mr. Keating calls the school Helton as a joke. The school's real name is Welton, but he combines hell with tin to suggest the school was a difficult or unpleasant place, like hell. In English, hell is often added to words for humor or to describe something negative. This workout is fitness hell, but it works. That test was pure math hell.
Yes, I too attended Helton. I survived. And no, at that time I was not the mental giant you see before you.
Mental giant is a humorous way to describe someone who is extremely intelligent. Mr. Keating uses it sarcastically to make fun of himself. He doesn't really consider himself a mental giant. I accidentally sent the wrong email. It was a real mental giant moment. He's no mental giant, but he tries hard.
I was the intellectual equivalent of a 98-pound weakling.
Mr. Keating says he was the intellectual equivalent of a 98-pound weakling, meaning he wasn't very smart when he was younger. Intellectual refers to mental abilities, and equivalent means equal to or the same as. He's joking that just like a 98-pound weakling isn't physically strong, he wasn't mentally strong back then. A 98-pound weakling is a way of describing someone who is physically weak. This phrase was popularized by old bodybuilding ads in the 1950s. His math skills are the equivalent of a beginner's. This small cafe is the equivalent of a 5-star restaurant.
I would go to the beach and people would kick copies of Byron in my face.
This is an exaggerated way to say Mr. Keating was bullied for liking poetry. Lord Byron was a famous poet, so the phrase means being mocked for being a bookworm. Exaggeration like this is often used for comic effect.
Mr. Pitts, where are you? Mr. Pitts, will you open your hymnal to page 542? Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
A hymnal is a book of religious songs or poems often used in churches. A stanza is a group of lines in a poem, like a verse or a song. In this scene, Mr. Keating asks a student to read a stanza from a poem in a hymnal. Both words are often related to poetry or songs.
To the virgins to make much of time?
Yes, that's the one. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
This is the title of a famous poem written by Robert Herrick in 1648. The poem's message is to live life to the fullest because time passes quickly and you won't stay young forever.
To the virgins to make much of time?
Yes, that's the one. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
In this context, appropriate means suitable or right for the situation. Mr. Keating is making a joke about how reading the poem To the Virgins to Make Much of Time feels suitable for young men. It's appropriate to wear a suit to a job interview. That joke wasn't really appropriate for our classroom.
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
The poem's first line, "Gather ye rosebuds while ye may," is a metaphor for grabbing opportunities while you can. This ties directly to the idea of Carpe Diem, seize the day, which Mr. Keating introduces later in the scene. You've got to gather your rosebuds and enjoy life. Don't wait to follow your dreams. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. You'll hear the phrase in literature, but in modern English people use, you only live once, make the most of every opportunity.
The Latin term for that sentiment is Carpe Diem. Now, who knows what that means?
Carpe Diem. That's seize the day.
Very good, Mr.
Meeks.
The word sentiment means a feeling or emotion connected to an idea. Mr. Keating says the Latin term for that sentiment is Carpe Diem, meaning the feeling or the message behind the poem is about seizing the moment. Sentiment can also refer to an opinion or a personal feeling about something. In this context, it is used to describe the poem's emotional message. The general sentiment in the room was one of excitement. I agree with the sentiment that life is short, so we should make the most of it.
Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may.
Carpe diem is a Latin phrase meaning seize the day. Seize means to take something quickly and firmly. It can also mean to take an opportunity and make the most of it. Carpe diem is not technically an idiom, but it's a powerful and widely used Latin phrase that means take action, embrace opportunities, and make the most of life while you can. Seize the day. You'll often see Carpe Diem in motivational quotes, posters, and even tattoos. Just ask her out already, man. Carpe Diem. You only live once. Carpe Diem.
Why does the writer use these lines?
Because he's in a hurry.
No. Ding! Thanks for playing anyway.
When Mr. Keating says ding, he's playfully mimicking the sound of a wrong answer buzzer from a quiz show or game. It's the humorous way of saying, nope, that's incorrect.
Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die.
Food for worms is a metaphor meaning dead and buried. Mr. Keating uses it to remind the students about the reality of life and death. Food for worms is a poetic expression often used in literature. Someday we'll all be food for worms, so make today count. In everyday English you might say, we all end up 6 feet under. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times.
Peruse means to look at something carefully. Mr. Keating tells the students to peruse the faces in the photos. He wants them to take a closer, thoughtful look at them. Peruse is sometimes misunderstood to mean browse casually, but its real meaning is to read or examine with care. Example, he perused the menu before ordering. The lawyer perused the contract carefully.
They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel.
Mr. Keating refers to hormones as a way to explain the emotional highs and lows teenagers experience. The word is commonly used to talk about physical and emotional changes. In casual conversation, it's often joked about when describing mood swings or energy shifts. Teenagers are full of hormones. Expect drama. Invincible means too strong to be defeated or overcome. Mr. Keating tells the students they feel invincible, just like the young men in the old photos once did. It highlights that when you're young, you often feel unstoppable or untouchable, as if nothing bad can happen to you. For example, after winning the game, the team felt invincible. When you're young, you think you're invincible, but life teaches you otherwise.
The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things.
The world is their oyster is an idiom, so we do have an idiom in this lesson. It means they have lots of opportunities, or the world is full of possibilities for them. So where does this idiom come from? The idiom comes from Shakespeare's play The Merry Wives of Windsor. In the play, a character says, "The world's mine oyster," meaning he can get what he wants if he takes action. Oysters sometimes contain valuable pearls, so this phrase became a way to say the world is full of treasures if you know how to open the right doors. Today we say the world is your oyster when someone has lots of opportunities and can make their own success.
They believe they're destined for great things. Just like many of you, their eyes are full of hope.
The word destined is the verb form of destiny, which means a future that is certain to happen or meant to be. Mr. Keating says the boys believed they were destined for great things, meaning they thought future success was part of their fate. Destiny, the noun, refers to fate or a predetermined future. For example, it was her destiny to become an artist. Destined, the verb, describes something that is bound to happen or meant to be. He is destined to win that competition. She always felt she was destined for greatness. We were destined to meet. It must be fate.
Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable?
Iota means a very small amount or the tiniest bit. Mr. Keating asks if the boys made even one iota of what they were capable of from their lives, meaning if they achieved even a small fraction of their potential. I don't care one iota about what they think. He didn't show an iota of remorse for what he did.
Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils.
This is a poetic way to say someone has passed away and is buried in the ground. Mr. Keating uses it to lighten a serious conversation about death. This kind of colorful language is common in poetry. In modern English, you might say, pushing up daisies, resting in peace. For example, we'll all be fertilizing daffodils someday, so live your best life.
If you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in.
Legacy refers to something that is passed down or left behind for future generations. Mr. Keating tells the students to listen closely because the boys in the old photos are whispering their legacy, their message to them. He's encouraging the students to think about what kind of impact they will leave behind. A legacy can be physical, like a family heirloom, or abstract, like the memory of a person's influence, achievements, or values. Her legacy as a great teacher lives on through her students. He left a legacy of kindness and generosity.
Seize the day, boys. Make your lives extraordinary.
The word extraordinary is built from two parts. Extra, meaning beyond or outside of, and ordinary, meaning normal or regular. The word means special, unique, or remarkable. Mr. Keating urges the students to live bold, meaningful lives, to be more than ordinary. That performance was extraordinary. It gave me the chills. He has an extraordinary talent for painting. Now it's your turn to put everything into practice. We've explored the idiom Carpe Diem, broken down key vocab, and looked at how the students in Dead Poets Society embody this powerful idea. This time you'll watch the clip again without subtitles. Let's see how much you've picked up.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Who knows where that comes from? Anybody? Not a clue. It's from a poem by Walt Whitman about Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Now, in this class, you can either call me Mr. Keating, or if you're slightly more daring, oh, Captain, my Captain. Now, let me dispel a few rumors so they don't fester into facts. Yes, I, too, attended Helton. I survived. And no, at that time, I was not the mental giant you see before you. I was the intellectual equivalent of a 98-pound weakling. I would go to the beach and people would kick copies of Byron in my face. Now, Mr. Pitts. It's a rather unfortunate name. Mr. Pitts. Where are you? Mr. Pitts, will you open your hymnal to page 542? Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
Do the virgins to make much of time?
Yes, that's the one. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is Carpe Diem. Now, who knows what that means?
Carpe Diem. That's seize the day.
Very good, Mr.
Meeks.
Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines?
Because he's in a hurry.
No. Ding! Thank you for playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you've really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
True or false? The world is your oyster means the world is full of opportunities for you to take advantage of. And the answer is true. The phrase means you have lots of possibilities ahead of you. It suggests that life is full of chances if you take action, just like the students in Dead Poets Society who embrace Carpe Diem. What does Carpe Diem mean? Worry about the future, make the most of today, save all your money for later, spend time planning your life carefully. And the answer is B. Make the most of today. If someone is destined for greatness, it means they are meant to achieve something important. They are always late. They have no future goals. They dislike trying new things. The answer is A. They are meant to achieve something important. What does legacy mean? A gift you give to your friends? The impact or reputation you leave behind after you're gone? A school assignment? A type of poetry? And the answer is B, the impact or reputation you leave behind after you're gone. Which of these statements about the Dead Poets Society scene where Mr. Keating talks about Carpe Diem is a lie? Mr. Keating encourages the students to seize the day. He shows the students old photographs of former students. He tells the students to gather rosebuds as a metaphor. He insists that the students must follow his exact path. And the lie is D. Keating never insists that the students must follow his exact path. Instead, he inspires them to carve their own path and make their lives extraordinary. Match each word to its correct definition. Festa, Iota, Peruse. To carefully read or examine something. To become worse over time, like a wound or a problem. A very small amount of something. The answers are Festa, to become worse over time, like a wound. Iota, a very small amount of something. Peruse, to carefully read or examine something. Now let's see if you can use this phrase correctly. Complete the sentence in the comments. I embraced Carpe Diem when I decided to. Thanks for tuning in to Hollywood English. If you found this lesson useful, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends who are also learning English. We're a brand new channel, and your support means the world to us. We post a new video every week packed with great lessons from your favorite movies and shows, helping you read between the lines, talk the talk, and sharpen your ears so you can understand English the way it's really spoken. And remember, every day is an opportunity to seize the day. So keep practicing, keep learning, and make your English journey extraordinary. I'll see you in the next lesson.